Hi ladies and gents, Pond here with another video for Rise of Empires, Ice and Fire. Thank you so much for your previous likes, comments and subscriptions to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, why not click on that button and ring the bell so you can get notifications of whenever I'm dropping content on the channel. And now onto the topic of this video, and today I am going to be talking about Cavalry hero combinations for 2022. So we're only just into January, and the devs have announced today that we have a new season at the end of the month. Now, first thing to note is that in the oldest states, we will be getting the SX9 Heroes. Now, bearing in mind I'm talking about Cavalry here, the SX9 Heroes will be a shooter and a footman hero. So no new Cav Heroes in the near future for us. But in SX11 there will be. And I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. But first off, I just want to kind of little disclaimer for you now in the video. This is not a comprehensive list of every single hero combo. I'm not going to go through every single hero combo that you can use or need, but I will focus on some of the key combinations of hero combos that you're going to want to use in the game and that you're going to see used by the majority of players, whether they're free to play, small spenders or super spenders, as you kind of progress in your journey through ROE in 2022. So first off, let's get started with Immortal, Rosen, Beast Queen. And the reason I've done it in this order is because this is still going to be basically the top tile taking combination for most of the year, and certainly for those of you that are in the older states 1, 6, 7 and below, this will be the combination you'll be using a lot in the game. So obviously with this combination, it is the best combination for taking tiles, poison tiles, because you want to force as much kills. You want to be killing all of those tile guardians effectively in the first turn of the battle. This combination is what does that for you the majority of the time. Of course, you can switch around. If you're not taking tiles, you can switch around Beast Queen with Immortal. And so Beast Queen's on the front row, Immortal on the back row. And for those of you in much earlier stages of the game, all the way up to, I'd say, SX2, this is going to probably be one of your best combinations for KE and everything that you do in the game. The only kind of counter to it is going to be if you put Brave on the front row of these combos, or if you put like a Skybreaker. Like early on in in season 4, sorry, you can use like Skybreaker, Inquisitor, Witch Hunter, because Skybreaker has a disarming skill, the same as Brave does early in the battle, which is when this combo does the most damage. So that's the first combo I wanted to talk about in terms of just early stages of the game. Next up then, we are going to have once you get to SX2, you get all these 8 heroes unlocked. Real key recruitment stage in the game for you guys. And there are multiple really key heroes that are released. So obviously, as you should know by now, SX2 Army Breaker, SX2 Avalanche and SX3 Lawman when we're talking about Cavalry heroes. All 3 of these heroes can be used in multiple meta combinations for the coming months. Even for those of us in the oldest states, we are still using these 2 or 3 heroes in at least definitely in our top or second Cav Legions. So there is a lot of longevity in picking up these heroes. You do really want to focus on them. And you can see the combo I've initially chosen here is at SX2. Is where you're going to have Lawman on the front row, Army Breaker middle, and Avalanche as your back row killer hero. Really nice combination. Lawman obviously does a lot of heals. Army also heals. Lawman's got that guaranteed return counter-attack skill, and she does extra damage. And then obviously Army Breaker, very balanced hero, healing, silencing, buffing your troops, and also with that dodge function. He is incredibly versatile. And of course Avalanche, that unique hero, you're going to want to use her. Everyone's going to want Avalanche because of her 6th skill with the extra 300 demolition value. Means that if you place her in the Cavalry Legion, then you can gain more than 500 demolition value for that Legion, which means that you can take tiles in 1 hit in Eden, and that's why she's another absolute key hero. So you're going to want to do that combination. Next up, we have Brave, Ragnar, Avalanche. So for those of you that all the way up to SX6, this combo is seen to be the most effective attacking combo. So you'll see people using this in KE an awful lot. It's very effective. The reason for that is basically Brave is one of the most efficient CC crowd controlling heroes in the game. Brave has both disarming on skill 2 and a silencing skill on skill 5. This synergizes really nicely with Ragnar's skills, where I think it's his 5th skill. It increases damage to opponents who are controlled by 70%. And Ragnar's 8th skill also gives guaranteed confusion as well on a couple of turns in the battle. When you add that then to the consistent damage that you get from Avalanche with her increased might, with her, she also has control skill on her 5th skill. It's just when you're getting those combinations all fitting together, you do get a lot of consistent high level damage because of that synergy. So this is a very, very good combination that you're going to see a lot of the time, guys. After that, when we get to SX6, you're going to get Warhammer released into the game, and Warhammer is more of a support hero, has a troop recovery block feature on his skills, and this is a common combination that you're going to see with Warhammer, which is Lawman, Warhammer, Avalanche. Let's just have a look at this in a little bit more detail with Warhammer. So for those of you earlier in the game, so Warhammer's 2nd skill, it's called Reflective Armor, gains 1 stack of reflecting armor charge each time a friendly squad receives damage. When reflecting armor charge reaches 9 stacks, it bestows a reflecting barrier to 1 random friendly squad, so that when they are attacked, then the reflective barrier will reflects 100% of the next incoming damage back to the original enemy attacking them, and there's a 30% chance for it to activate another time. Warhammer's 5th skill is a combat skill, but with a 100% chance, so unless he's silenced or suppressed, it can't be stopped. It will activate every turn, and it's doing 108% damage to all 3 enemy squads. Not a crazy amount of damage, but the reason they had this skill basically is because it also does a tiny amount of damage to your own squads. That is so that the reflective armor charges quicker, and what you're hoping for is that when that reflective armor is charged, that your opponent is going to be doing a high damage skill against the squad in your legion that has the reflective armor activated to kind of reflect that back and do that damage back on themselves. And then, as I said again, reduced troop recovery for both enemy and friendly squads by 25%, and then starting on turn 4, reduced troop recovery for all enemy squads by 15% per turn. Obviously, healing has a big impact in the game. Later in the game, as you see more and more heroes with really OP healing skills, whether that's obviously Lawman, as we've seen, Army Breaker, Skander in terms of footman heroes. We all know Bleeding Steed has a very good healing skill. Liberator also has a good healing skill if he's paired with a high damage dealer in the back row. So healing is a key element in the game. Obviously, you win battles. The winner of the battle is the person that's lost the least power. So you want a combination effectively of being able to do the most damage while losing the least troops. So this really does help in that regard, in terms of keeping your opponent's troop numbers down. And then last up, the last combination in the list that I want to talk about. So this is SX9 Hellfire. Now, you're going to see 2 or 3 combinations of Hellfire generally amongst once you get to SX9. You're going to see, as I've put on the screen, Army Breaker, Hellfire, Avalanche. You're going to see Lawman, Hellfire, Avalanche. And you could even see, for a more defensive combination, you could see Lawman, Hellfire, Army Breaker as well. I've seen quite a few people running that. So Hellfire, why is he so good? Why is he popping into all the kind of meta cavalry heroes once you get to SX9? Well, first off, Hellfire is a general hero, so actually he can be used with any troop type. He's the first SX hero to have that ability, and you can see from his 2nd skill that depending on what troop type you pair him with affects what ability this skill gives you. So if you pair him with footmen, then damage received by your squad is minus 35%. So generally, people, if they're going to put him in the front row, those people with Dragon Master gear are going to put Hellfire in the front row with footmen to just give it that real tanky aspect. If he's with cavalries, which is what we're talking about here, then when 2 random enemy squads launch combat skills and common attacks, the damage caused by the squad is -8%, and the effect can be stacked up to 8 layers. So turn 1 it's 8%, turn 2 it's 16%, -16%, turn 3 it's -24%, etc., etc. So effectively, it's weakening your opponent the later into the battle you go. So, and once you're getting towards the second half of the battle, when it's affecting 2 random enemy squads, you're talking about very high levels of damage reduction when you consider that it's 2 enemy squads being affected by it. This is one of the best kind of debuffs that I've seen from a skill. Then let's look at his 5th skill. This is another thing that is really OP about Hellfire, is that he has this excellent healing skill, 50% chance to recover team with the lowest value of troops, and the recovery rate is 270%. Now, when you can compare that, say, to Lawman, whose 5th skill is self squad and one random friendly squad recover some troops, so that's 96.5%. So that's just under 200%, right? What is it? It's 193%. But so you're getting that extra 77% possible from Hellfire in terms of healing. Okay, it's not guaranteed, but it will go to the squad with the lowest value of troops, and that is really key, because obviously if you are constantly doing a large amount of healing to the squad with the lowest amount of troops, that is going to really give a good protection to that squad, and hopefully they're going to survive potentially for the whole battle. If you keep them alive for the whole battle, then all 3 heroes can activate their skills for the whole 8 turns of the battle, and that gives you the best chance of winning. It also will clear the debuff state of 2 random teams on our side, but again, most in-battle debuffs, you're talking about a buff that will a debuff that will say reduce your might or reduce your resistance. Usually they're not great, so that's not such a big issue for him. And then his 8th skill, all friendly squads unit countering -10%. So you know that's about the kind of triangle of cavalry counter footmen counter archers, archers counter cavalry, and so that has a reduced effect. And starting from the 4th round, the damage caused by our own 2 teams, other 2 teams, is plus 40%. So that is a 40%. That's an 80% total buff after round 4, plus you are debuffing the opponent by a huge amount as well. So that is a really nice combination with Hellfire. And as I say, any of these combinations of heroes that you put in with, I mean, you can even put Hellfire with Brave, for instance. You could have Brave, Hellfire, Avalanche if you don't have Lawman and Army. A lot of these combinations, you know, you can interchange the heroes. But these are kind of like the most common, I would say, you're going to see. You know, for instance, Lawman, Warhammer Avalanche is a very common defensive combination as well. So I just wanted to kind of touch on these most common combinations for you. You know, of course, there are other combos out there. Earlier in the game, you've got the 3 Sisters combo, Warlord, Roku, and Living Saint. You could pop Living Saint in one of these combinations that are on the screen, and she would do an okay job. One thing I do want to mention is obviously SX8. For those of you earlier in the game, SX8 Rainforest Ranger is kind of billed as, well, I even kind of build her as an immortal replacement, but that has not turned out to be the case in game. Ranger, from her port from LSS to ROE, just hasn't worked out quite as effective as we would expect. These abilities just don't kind of stack up. This is a 50% chance. It does a decent amount of damage, but only to 1 random enemy squad. And this 8th skill is just not activating enough times at 35% chance. So we're not seeing Ranger used regularly in combinations. I mean, you might see her if you're using Avalanche, for instance, in a different combo. Then you might want to put Immortal with Brave and Ragnar, and then put Rainforest Ranger into that combination of Beast Queen Rosen and then Ranger. More commonly, she's actually being used in a Mixed Legion with Rosen and Warden. She has done some decent damage in some battle reports that I've seen from there. But to be honest with you, Ranger is not an absolute must-have hero in my opinion. And then what's coming for the rest of the year? So we have this new season starting in January. We get new seasons every 3 months. As I've said, no new Cavalry hero coming in January for SX10. SX11 in April, we will see what I believe is going to be a hero that will fit into this bottom line of the Immortal Rose and Beast Queen combo. So, and this hero you might be able to use her as a replacement for Beast Queen, or you might even be able to replace Rosen and put her in. She has a splash attack skill similar to Beast Queen's, and if it's a she in our version of the game, and potentially it could be really strong for taking tiles, but there's no given, like sometimes hero skills that port over from Last Shelter Survival, our sister game, they don't always port exactly the same into Rise of Empires, so it will just be difficult to see. But she will be a hero that works with heroes that have passive skills and basic attacks, so that we do know. And then after that into it will be July, we will have SX12. There is going to be a general hero again, similar to Hellfire, with some really interesting skill sets, like they have a very strong healing ability, plus they buff heroes with prep skills. So if you think about the fact that, and if it'll be the back row hero. Now immediately everyone might be thinking about Jade Eagle, but we're not sure how OP that combination would be because Jade Eagle is still so fragile. But obviously the one thing to think about is that Avalanche's absolute OP skill, hack and slash, requires prep. So if this was activating, say on the turns 5, 6 and 7 and 8 of the battle, and you're hitting the back row doing this extra 310% damage, it could really obliterate your opponent and do a huge amount of damage. So that's going to be an SX12 hero. And then SX13, which will be the last season of 2022. We should get that season probably in October. And there will be another Cavalry hero in that release as well for that season. And that Cavalry hero, in my mind, is a Rosen replacement. I don't think that hero will have the kind of huge combat speed buff that Rosen does. But it's looking like it will buff the ability to do extra basic attacks of both the heroes in the squad on the first few turns of the battle, plus it will do a damage buff, and that you're talking about like guaranteed abilities here that are going to trigger every round. So but it will be more linked again to heroes that are passive attack specialists. So that hero is going to link with Beast Queen, with the SX11 hero, with Immortal, with Rainforest Ranger. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens later in the year. It's definitely shifting back towards passive ability heroes in 2022. And I know I'm now reaching 18 minutes on this video, so I hope I've covered everything that you guys wanted to hear in this video about heroes for the coming 12 months. If you have liked the video, then please do click on that like down below, and if you could please share the video and my channel in your Alliance chat, Province chat, and through Line, WhatsApp, Viber, Discord, whatever you use to communicate with your fellow players in the game, that would be very much appreciated. I'll be interested to hear what your thoughts are on this combos, and of course open up some discussions on other combos you think are OP at the moment in the game, and if you know what your thoughts are on the heroes to come later in 2022. I'll be interested to hear if you're kind of excited to see what they're going to bring, or you were hoping for something else or something different, because I think a lot of the skills might be, you know, similar to what we've had already. So there we go, guys. Please do pop your comments down below. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.